Hi everyone, I'm Emma, and you're on the Stories by Emma channel. Let's dive into some amazing stories. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you. Fragments of a Mystery. Detective Valerie Langston's heart raced as she received a call about a case from her past. A cold file suddenly reopened. The case involved the murder of a young woman whose killer was never found, and the discovery of new evidence reignited her drive for justice. Valerie had always felt the case had been mishandled. Now, with fresh leads, excitement and anxiety filled her as she realized everything might change. Determination set in as she headed to the station, her mind focused on the road ahead. Valerie's first stop was the victim's family, who had suffered for years without closure. She could see the pain in their eyes, an unhealed wound that time alone couldn't fix. The mother clutched an old photograph of her daughter, a silent plea for answers etched into her face. Valerie promised herself she'd dig until the truth was revealed. Leaving the house, she felt the weight of their grief bearing down on her. Back at the station, Valerie pulled out every report, photo, and note related to the case. The details felt like fragmented memories of a long-lost nightmare. One name kept resurfacing: Marcus Caldwell, a retired detective who had initially handled the case. She knew she needed his insight. He had seen pieces of this puzzle she hadn't. Dialing his number, Valerie hoped he remembered the case as vividly as she did. Meeting Marcus was like peeling back another layer of mystery. He shared theories that had been dismissed by his superiors, along with overlooked evidence. His determination mirrored her own, and they agreed to re-examine every lead together. As they talked, Valerie realized they were unearthing secrets someone had desperately tried to bury. But who? And why? Valerie and Marcus retraced their steps to a suspect long forgotten, a man with a shaky alibi and no clear motive. He had vanished years ago, but rumors around the city suggested he was back. As they dug deeper, it became evident that someone had been protecting him. The case had transformed from a simple murder investigation to a revelation of systemic failure. Late one night, an anonymous call led Valerie to a dimly lit bar. She sat alone, scanning the room, wondering who had finally decided to speak up after all these years. A shadowed figure approached, their voice barely a whisper. "You're digging too deep, detective. Some things are better left buried." The chill of danger seeped in, intensifying her resolve. Each day, Valerie sensed strangers watching her, the weight of unseen eyes following her every move. The fear crept in slowly, making her question her own instincts. But Marcus kept her grounded, insisting they were close. He reminded her of the promise they made to find the truth. Valerie couldn't quit, not with justice within reach. The investigation soon revealed a network of powerful figures who had influenced the case for years. Valerie and Marcus found themselves not only against the suspect, but an entire system of corruption. They collected evidence meticulously, knowing one wrong step could mean the end. The stakes had never been this high. Valerie sought out the last person to have seen the victim alive, a woman who had fled the city and lived in hiding. Her story unveiled connections Valerie hadn't considered, linking the case to some of the city's most influential elites. It was dangerous, but Valerie knew she had no choice but to push forward. This was no longer a case, it was her mission. Armed with new evidence, Valerie returned to her department, requesting permission to pursue the leads. Skepticism hung in the air as she made her case, but her chief finally agreed, realizing too much was at stake to ignore. She felt a renewed sense of purpose. The city's hidden truths were coming to light. Valerie and Marcus pored over the old case files one last time, searching for any detail they might have overlooked. In a faded photograph, they noticed an individual in the background, dismissed at the time as irrelevant. But now, with fresh perspective, this image took on a new importance. They had found a link, a witness whose silence could crack the case open. As they tracked down the witness, Valerie prepared for a final confrontation. The witness, now under an assumed name, was initially hesitant, but Valerie's determination broke through their resistance, leading to revelations that shook her. This witness was the missing piece she'd been searching for. Valerie decided to go public with the evidence, drawing media attention to the decades-old mystery. The powerful figures connected to the crime stirred, aware of the imminent exposure. Despite threats, Valerie stayed firm, backed by a witness willing to testify. Justice was within reach, and nothing would deter her now. The trial day arrived, filling Valerie with both hope and nerves. Her witness took the stand, courageously recounting the events of that fateful night. The courtroom sat in tense silence as the truth spilled out, unmasking those who had hidden behind power and privilege. Valerie's heart swelled. After years of silence, the truth had finally come to light. The jury's verdict brought long-overdue justice to the victim's family. Valerie watched as they wept in relief, finding closure at last. She left the courthouse with Marcus by her side, feeling an immense sense of fulfillment. Echoes of justice hung in the air, and Valerie knew she had made a lasting difference.